how do you approach an established property that has lasted for decades, that has a fan base, while and still trying to bring some new flavor to it? Because that seems tricky.
It's interesting, like, because that's kind of, I mean, I would say it's my niche that I've like unintentionally gotten, but like, it feels like that's the general trend in the industry right now. Like, IP is, I mean, to get your own original show done now is a lot harder than it used to be. It's all IP, IP, IP. Um, but but I mean, that's kind of where I've kind of found my niche is like, the past several shows I've run have all been movies that I've adapted into television shows. And I think, I mean, God, I have a lot of opinions on this, but I think like with Voltron was a perfect example where, it's a different approach to each one. That one, I think I got the job, because, our mutual buddy, Jeremy, was the big Voltron nerd on that one. And I loved Voltron growing up. Like I had a couple of the toys, but I was not like steeped in Voltron lore. I did my research when I got the job. It was a good marriage because Jeremy was kind of like the Voltron, historian, and I was kind of the person who could make it accessible to anybody because it had to be accessible to me. So it was not like Jeremy would always like keep me in line with that. Like I was trying to push it to do all sorts of weird stuff that they've never done in Voltron, but still respect the property. And you got to like find that line of what's going to be too far. And did we cross it at times? Probably, but it was fun. But I think with adapting movies, like Thundercats, I had very little to do with the development of that tone and that universe had been established already, and like to write for those voices that everyone knew, or in that version of those voices, it was awesome to have that opportunity. But that I did not, have much to do with how that universe worked. I just got to play in that sandbox. But the other stuff I've done, the movies I've adapted, the thing I've noticed most is movies, the way the characters work in movies, they kind of only need one goal. They're a character invented to tell a story, whereas when you need that character to last for, well, back in the day, hopefully hundreds of episodes, now 8, but you gotta kind of round out a lot of characters. There were, especially the secondary ones, or find, sometimes the hero in a movie isn't as colorful as you want them to be, so you kind of give them a little more more flaws or make them goofier or yeah. So I think that's, I think that's the biggest thing, like figuring out what to do to make a character last for more than one story, to really figure them out, to make them stretch for a TV show.
Yeah, that's interesting. Does that change much with the duration of the show? So let's say Voltron Force was 26 episodes with the potential for further future seasons, but shows are getting shorter and shorter. Like you said, 8 episodes or whatever. Does that change the way you approach the character, knowing this person has to go on for X number of episodes versus Y?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if it changes the character as much, but it definitely changes like what you can do with them.
Yeah.
I have not worked on an 8 episode thing yet. I've not had that challenge yet, but even, in Voltron, I was figuring out, episode arc. I think in general now with the streaming and the serialization of things, you can actually tell 10 stories that are supposed to be in order. Whereas, back in the day, you never knew what order any network was going to air things in. So if you wanted to tell a serialized story, you kind of, everything had to stand alone. Even still, with streaming, you want every episode to stand on its own, but there'd be like tentpole episodes. There'd be like, things that didn't have to do with the big story. And then every, 4 or 5 episodes, you touch on the bigger arc. Whereas now you have the opportunity to tell like one huge epic story, which, is a different sort of challenge or monster, but can be really cool.